right. Hope everyone is doing great. Feeling really good today. It has been a long couple of weeks. My wife she's been taking ice skating lessons since summer, I think. And my wife fell last weekend, or Thursday, I think it was. And she fell straight to her knee. Like, she's a pretty competent skater, but she caught her toe pick and she fell straight to her knee, like no bracing herself or anything. And she kind of hobbled off, a little bit of bruising, everything. Turns out they don't know what happened, but she has a huge, swelling, potentially bruised patella. And she's been mostly bedridden for a week. And then the last 4 days or so, 3 days or so, she's been a little bit more mobile. But it has been a busy time. So, you can imagine, with dogs and cats and life and kids and all that, having somebody else that, you need to be caregiver for, can definitely drain you. So this has been one of those years. I tell you what, I was trying to prep for it. I knew it was going to be busy. That was a little out of my control. I knew it was going to be a busy day, a busy year, but hey, that's the way that it is. She's doing okay now. We have a appointment tomorrow with the orthopedic surgeon, I guess, to check out what's going on and see if there's any options. When she first came in, there was so much swelling, she couldn't really see what was going on. But the swelling should be down now, so they'll probably do some more x-rays and see if it's actually broken or not. I don't think there's much of a change if it is broken. Like if you break, your toe or something like that, you kind of, you stay off your toe, maybe tape it up or whatever. But it's kind of the same as if you had a serious bruise to it. Similar to the knee, it's not like they're going to give her a full leg cast or anything like that. She's been in a brace, so it sucks. Yeah, that's life though. Very tired, very drained, but I'm excited to be here. This is always the highlight. That is why, if anybody was wondering, I wasn't here last week. I usually try to do this every 2 weeks, but because we were still kind of dealing with that, and we've got dogs and kids to take care of. If she can't be around on her feet, it's hard to do any of that mother stuff, The co-parenting thing is difficult. So, that's why I wasn't here last week. But I'm back. I'm ready to rock. It's been a good start of the week. I'm excited to just coast my way like a back royale, just kind of float my way through the rest of the week up until the weekend. All right, let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome to Gear Talk episode 110. Gear Talk is the show that I do every other week where we talk about the geekier side of rollerblading. If you know the difference between a 165 mount, a Trinity mount, and a UFS system, you've come to the right place. We talk about all that sort of geeky stuff. You don't just put your foot in a skate, you can actually customize it, make it better for the way that you like to roll. We try to help you dial in your setup so that every time you go out there and you hit the streets or you hit the skate park or you hit the skate rink, wherever you're skating, you're always having a great time. You're always out there having a safe roll, a fun roll. You don't have to blame the equipment. We're going to try to take care of the equipment side for you so you can just focus on having fun going out there and having a good skate. Like we do every week, we want to thank our friends over at thehelmetinitiative.org for our helmet giveaway. We love wearing helmets. It's one of those things that as you get older, as you get more responsibilities, it's really important to focus on yourself, to make sure that you're taking care of yourself, that you're not taking any unnecessary risk. There are things that we do that we know that there's a risk. Anytime you go out rollerblading, you're going to be taking some risk. And if you're jumping on ledges, rails, doing mini ramps, stuff like that, jumping gaps, whatever you do, you're definitely taking risk. That's a measured risk. That's something that you can kind of control. I know that the rail is going to be high or fast or I'm going to fall off it. That's the sort of thing that I'm going in ready for that sort of situation. Hitting your head is something that is really difficult to control. Most people who have hit their head, I have a lot of friends who have hit their heads and ended up in really bad situations. Most of those people, that was completely outside of their control. It's not like they hit their head falling off of a trick. They hit their head tripping on a crack, or just slipping on something, or somebody came out of the way and hit them by accident. That's the sort of thing that causes people to fall down and hit their heads. And I'm so sad that people are not wearing their helmets out there. It is so stupid to fall down and not wear a helmet. Like, I mean, do what you will. You know, you're an adult. But it's so easy to wear a helmet. Why not just do it? And save us all the grief. You know, I don't want to think about having anybody else in the hospital or anything like that. Helmets are fine. You know, we're old. We have wheels on our feet. It's not like you're going to act any cooler if you don't wear a helmet. You know, put a helmet on. You'll feel better. But I do understand that some of us out there don't have the funds for a helmet. Helmets usually cost around $50. We usually recommend the 888 Sweat Saver, the certified version of this 888 Sweat Saver. They're around $50 or so, sometimes $60, depends on when you buy it. And that's a lot of money for some people. I totally get that. I don't care, you know, people have other things to spend their money on. Like you have food, you have maybe wheels, you have, you know, hobbies, other things that you want to do. And getting yourself a $60 helmet is probably the last thing that's on your mind. I want to help you with that. So for every episode of Gear Talk, I've been able to give away a free helmet to somebody out there who needs one. We've been giving away a lot of helmets lately. I've been finally getting caught up with all of my backlog and sending out the helmets. I think I sent out a helmet yesterday. So I am doing everything that I can to get more helmets out there. If you are the sort of person who would love a helmet, who would actually wear a helmet, backtobleeding.com, I didn't turn it on. I always forget to do this. I need to turn that on again. Backtobleeding.com/helmet is where the URL will be. Let me turn it on real quick. I engaged the page in the beginning of the show, and I always forget to turn it on again. So when I do leave it on, I leave it on for 24 hours after the show, just because I know that people watch it in the first day. I know that some people can't watch it live. Not a big deal, but I want to make sure that the people who do watch it more regularly, closer to when it airs, are the ones that have the quickest opportunity to get a helmet. Because I'm sometimes a little late about giving away the helmets. Let me make sure that it's working. Backtobleeding.com/helmet. It is working. I will throw this in the chat for everyone right now. There you go. Backtobleeding.com/helmet. If you are interested in getting a helmet, I would love to help you out. We're able to do this giveaway because we have great supporters over at the helmetinitiative.org. They have been supporting us for a couple of years now. And they are an organization that does everything that they can, just kind of like my vibe, to get helmets on people. And that's not something that, you know, you're not going to force somebody to wear a helmet, but I don't want anybody out there who needs a helmet that can't afford it to not be able to wear one. It's important to me that we have those options that people are able to wear them. Helmetinitiative.org does a great job at that. They go to events and they exchange old helmets for new helmets. They give people helmets so that they can have helmets. And they're a great organization. They've sent us some helmets to give away. I have about a dozen left, maybe a little less than that, maybe 8 now. So I need to email them again and restock on a few things. But we couldn't do this without their support. So definitely go check them out, helmetinitiative.org, for more information. If you are interested in helping out the channel, and if the idea of giving people helmets is something that makes you excited, we're able to give away helmets in the US, but outside of the US, it can get a little expensive to ship a helmet. Not only that, but when you import a helmet into your country, it can cost you money. And we want to make this completely free for the people who win the helmets. It should be absolutely no cost out of your pocket. We want to send you a helmet, and that's hard to do overseas. So rather than send a helmet to the UK or to Canada or to Japan, I want to give you some money instead. So we'll give you $50 in US dollars so that you can go buy yourself a helmet locally. Now, I don't know what the conversion rate is. You might not be able to buy a whole helmet for that. You might be able to buy 2 helmets for that. It's really hard to say, but that is kind of what we expect people will spend on a helmet here in the US. If you win the competition, you know, the helmet giveaway for tonight, and you're outside of the US, not a problem. We will send you money so that you can get yourself a helmet. That money comes from the YouTube ads, and it also comes from our supporters at Patreon. Patreon.com/backtobleeding is a great place to go if you want to support the Helmet Initiative giveaway that we do, as well as the channel itself. Now, there's not a lot of freebies. Don't go there expecting free stuff. We do some exclusives on there, but really it's not about that. If you have a limited amount of money and you just want to give it to somebody, there are plenty of other YouTube channels or skaters out there that I feel deserve your cash. If you got a little bit of extra money, $1 a month, that would be great. We'd love to take your money and give it away to somebody who needs it for a helmet. Again, backtoblading.com/helmet for the giveaway. helmetinitiative.org for all of your information about the Helmet Initiative, and then patreon.com/backtoblading if you would like to support the channel and give us a couple bucks for the helmet giveaway. I didn't mention this, but we do the Back to Blading Gear Talk every other Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. It's a little difficult for some people to get on at that time. I understand that. If you're overseas, totally get it. We have started putting this Back to Blading, I can't even think. We've been putting Gear Talk on the podcast feed. So we've done a podcast for about 5 years with my friend Ben. Unfortunately, my time constraints have limited my ability to do the podcast anymore. But I know there are a lot of people out there who love rollerblading, might not be able to watch this show. We're using that feed for Gear Talk now. So after we're done tonight, I will save this episode, and I usually publish them on Friday so that you have something to listen to over the weekend. You can go to backtoblading.com/podcast to subscribe. We're on Spotify, we're on iTunes, we're on all the normal places you find your podcasts. So that's a great place to listen if you wanted to listen to me talk tonight. If you don't want to watch the video, it's much better with video because you get to see the skates and everything. But if you just want to listen and just, on your commute or whatever, backtoblading.com/podcast is where you want to listen to it. And then finally, if you are listening live, we do the live stream. So we have a chat area where people can ask questions, chat with each other, talk about skate-related stuff or anything else on your mind. If you have a question for me, this is a great opportunity to get those weird questions answered. It's really easy to Google pictures of skates and find skates for sale, but it's really difficult to get explanations about what a 6mm or an 8mm axle is really about. And why do we specify 6mm axles for some frames and 8mm for axles for other frames? What's the difference? Things like that is a really difficult thing to find on the internet. I'm a really good resource for that. I'd love to answer your questions. Make sure that you tag Back to Blading on your comment. I would love to answer them, but it's really hard for me to see as the chat sometimes gets a little busy. If you're watching this in the future, or if you are listening to this as a podcast, there is a link to go to the YouTube video so that you can leave a comment. That's a great place to add a question to this video if you've got a question that you'd like me to answer. It doesn't matter when you listen. I usually get to my comments on a daily basis, so every evening I check the comments on the YouTube. It's a really great way, again, if you've got a weird question that you need answered, I would love to help you out. Either live or in the future if you want to leave a comment. Again, happy to help you. Just let me know what's on your mind. All right, enough of that. Let's do a little housekeeping. I think that's a little easier way to start. So I got two things to talk about tonight. First, it is Black History Month, and I am not a black man, but I do absolutely respect the celebration of black culture. And I grew up, in an area in California that was very diverse. My hockey team, my high school, people that I skated with, we had all different backgrounds, and it was an amazing culture for me to grow up in. I know that a lot of people out there haven't had that experience. Depending on where you grow up, maybe you don't have other people of different races that live in your community. California is a very diverse area. Not every place is like that. So I've been, very fortunate to, again, live in an area that has that. I think this is a great month that just kind of brings attention to that, that there are different people out there. And I think the black culture is an amazing culture. The more that I learn about it, especially from a rollerblading perspective, not necessarily rollerblading specifically, but in the last 6 months or maybe a year or so, somehow my YouTube recommendations has been pushing adult night roller skating, which is this crazy, and I don't want to, I don't know a ton about it, but I watched this, it was a documentary, I think it was on Netflix, maybe it was on HBO, that was about the culture of roller skating in the Black community. And it's this incredible, like, you think aggressive skating is crazy with our culture? This is an amazing culture. They have this whole choreographed dance sort of thing. There's different, like how you would have speaking dialects in different areas of the world. They have different dialects of the different skates that you would find in each region of the cities that you find roller skating. It's incredible. I don't know what it was called. I think it was Roller Skates of America or something like that. But anyway, my YouTube comments or my YouTube recommendations have been covered with them lately. It's amazing to see, and I love learning. I'm always, learning, trying to dig myself in a little bit deeper and get to be a little bit more knowledgeable about topics that I don't really know much about. So this is something that, I've been really, really fortunate to stumble upon. I say this because it is Black History Month, and our good friend Ken and Scott is trying to raise some awareness about the culture, I don't want to put words in his mouth. You can go to Blading on the Brain, and I think he did a YouTube post, but he's also, active on the Instagram. Kenan got an idea to do a contest with one of his sponsors, Fruit Tech, who is a great company based down in Georgia, I think. Jonathan is a great friend of mine, and they make aftermarket hardware. So if you want to equip your 909s with hardware that doesn't strip, if you're trying to replace your sole plates or your cuff bolts or things like that, they offer other bolts and screws and things like that will make your skates a little bit more reliable and easy to upgrade. And Kenan rides for Fruit Tech, and he just got a brand new product that is the Ken and Scott bearings. So they start making bearings. And they are doing a giveaway this month to somebody out there, maybe even more people out there. Kenan's favorite trick is a back royale, so he wanted to do a back royale contest. So if you are out there and if you can do a back royale, post on the Instagram, tag it FT Backroy, BACKROY. And I think at the end of the month, they're going to pick somebody at random to win a pair of the bearings. And I actually have a pair of the bearings here. So these are the Ken and Scott bearings. They come in a really cool, like retro cereal box style, or I guess it's more like a juice box, right? Yeah, it's more like a juice box. Super cool. They are, I don't know much about the bearings themselves. They're very pretty bearings. They've got the blue shield or the purple shield with the multicolor racer, I think it's called. Very neat bearings. You can win yourself a set of these. Now they sent these to me for free, full disclosure. I didn't pay for these bearings. I do hope that I win the contest though. I did submit my back royale on the coping here. And it was a pretty good back royale. It's been a while since I've done back royales on coping, but it was a pretty good back royale. I hope the judges are a little lenient. Otherwise, I have to send these back. No, they probably won't let them ask me to send them back. But if you want to win yourself a set of Ken and Scott bearings, post on the Instagram, hashtag Backroy, hashtag FT Backroy, and they'll take a look. And I think they're going to give a couple people some sets of bearings at the end of the month. This is also, to raise awareness for Black History Month. I think, what did Ken call it? Black Celebration Month, I think. Amazing deal. Make sure that you follow Blading on the Brain on the Instagram or on the YouTube also, if you haven't already. Learn a little bit about what he's been going through. He had a helmet situation where he fell and had a traumatic brain injury completely out of his control. Again, he was trying to do a soul grind, I think, on coping, and the coping just stuck and he just fell a little weird and ended up in a coma. That's the sort of thing that I'm talking about, and that's why I push people so hard to wear their helmets. He's still recovering from that. That's something that you don't just shake off and you move on. So definitely worth a watch, worth a subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks, Jonathan, for sending out the bearings. And yeah, if you're looking for something to do this month, get yourself a back royale. Any obstacle counts. get as low as you can, really, get in the barrel if you can, and FT Backroy, tag it FT Backroy so that they can see it. All right, and then the second thing. So we've been super busy. I've been super busy, and haven't been able to post the frames on the core frame market, but I've gotten a bunch of frames available from the core frame developers. These are the guys out there who are developing walls for the core frame market. So I've talked a little bit about the core system. Again, full disclosure, I do own 50/50 and design these frames for people to skate. And most importantly, in my eyes, not only are the prime frames a great frame, but they are an open source system. So anybody out there can download the core developer kit and they can 3D print their own frame walls at home and mount them on the core system and go out there and skate them. We've been doing this for about 2 years now, and it has been a project that has lived up to every expectation that I ever had. Not only are the frames extremely popular, and we've even got pro skaters buying them themselves because they want to skate them, but I've got probably 6 or 7 different frames in the core frame market from designers out there who wanted to, show us what they have in mind, show us what their favorite frame would be. Now, last summer, we started coming out with our 290 millimeter frame. So typically a frame comes in a 250 millimeter for usually sizes 9 and below, and then a 270 millimeter for sizes 10 and up. And there's that, bubble between 9 and 10. You could ride either one. I'm a 10.5, and sometimes I ride 250s because I really like that maneuverability. But 250, 270, that usually covers both of the sides. There are people out there with bigger feet, and they have been asking for a big frame, a long frame, a frame for big-feeted friends. So we came out with a 290 millimeter core. And that is available on the core frame, it's available on 5050frames.com. So you can go there and you can get the prime frames in a 290 millimeter core. But we never released a set of frames from developers which fit the core system. And now that's going to change. So last fall, I think, maybe summer, I released the 290 as well as the updated the core developer kit so that the 290 millimeter cores were added in the kit. So you could download and you can create your walls around a 290 millimeter core. And we have 4 developers who have designed walls to fit on the 290. And I'm going to go through all of them. They are available now on the coreframemarket.com if you want to check them out. If you have a big foot and you want a long frame, we've got a few different options. Not only can you get the prime frames, which are available at 5050frames.com, but if you go to Core Frame Market, you can find a few developers who have 290 millimeter frames available. So let's go through them. First, we have the Dark Mage. This is the Dark Mage wall. This came out about 2 months ago, maybe. They were a pretty popular frame around Christmas time. I printed a bunch of them. They are a flat 60 frame, so they're designed for flat 60 millimeter. They have nice wheel bite protection. These are available now in a 290 millimeter length. So they are available in 250 and 270. Today they're going to be available in 290. Now you can also buy them with a complete kit. So you don't have to buy prime frames before you buy a Core Frame Market wall. You can go to the Core Frame Market, you can get the walls, or you can get the complete kit, which includes the walls and the 290 millimeter core, along with axles and frame spacers. So all that you would need to bring is your wheels. We also have an option that you can bring your wheels, that you can buy wheels from us as well. So you can have a complete ready-to-roll setup with whichever walls you want. Really, really awesome. I don't have all of them ready to roll yet. I still need to take a few pictures, but some of the frames out there are ready to roll. If you want a ready to roll setup and it's not available, just send me a message and I will take care of you. I'll help you out. Anyway, Dark Mage, that's one of them. These are a flat 60 frame, really popular, great frame. We also have Justin Thursday's T60R. These are probably the most popular frame on the market. They are a flat 60 frame. They have a slight rocker, maybe a 1 mil rocker here. That's what the R in the T60R stands for. They are available in black and white. All of our walls are available in black and white. These are also available in the 290 millimeter length. Another really popular version, these are the Hexi frames. They are a split with 56 millimeters on the inside and 60 millimeters on the outside, I think. Yeah, 60s and then 56s. So you get a really wide split. I mean, you think that the Justin Thursdays are wide. These are a 120 millimeter split. These must be, geez, I don't even know how wide. Maybe 130. And the reason they were able to do that is because they're riding smaller wheels on the inside. So these are 56s on the inside, 60s on the outside. Split that super wide out, nice big deep groove. Really, really cool frame. Also available in the 290 millimeter with black and white walls. And then finally the Boonies frame. This one is very reminiscent of the balance frame with little nubs on the side. Really nice deep groove with wheel bite protection. I think they also fit a flat 60. I think that's kind of where most of the frame walls have landed. If you're skating a flat frame, I think they all support flat 60. These are also available 250, 270, 290, black and white. You can get them the way that they are with this wall only, or you can get them as a complete with the cores and the hardware and axles and all that stuff. Huge thank you to all of the designers out there who have come up with these amazing creations. If you already have a set of frames, you can get any of these, throw them on your frames, and go out there and skate. They're a really fun way to experiment with different grooves, different splits, things like that. I do have to warn you that 3D printed frames are a little bit heavier than an injection molded frame. They also wear a little bit different. So these are really designed for skate park. You could take them on street, but they're really designed for skate park. If you think that your frames are going to wear down quickly on a ledge that you're skating, these will wear down much faster. If all you're doing is skating angle iron and coping and PVC rails and things like that at home, these are perfect frames for you. If you're out there skating street, you probably want to stick with a glass-filled nylon sort of frame. But whenever you go back to a skate park, you can just swap out the walls, take out the first and the last axle, put on the new ones, and you can skate your skate park setup. Very excited. Again, this project has gone much further than I had imagined. I'm really, really looking forward to the future. We are always working on new walls and new designs so that the market is healthy. The great thing about, currently buying the prime frames is that you can get replacement walls for fairly cheap, and I've been selling a lot of replacement walls. So as soon as you buy the system, you can just keep replacing it. You can try different setups, try different colors. It's really an amazing system, and yeah, I can't wait to see what people come up with in the future. All right, housekeeping out of the way. Let's get to my current setup. So I actually have been skating. It's funny. I went from skating every week to now taking a little bit of a break, a little bit less skating. But lately I've skated pretty much every week. I missed last week, was dealing with some stuff at home. But 2 weeks ago I was able to skate. And then this weekend I was able to skate. And I have been on the Them 909. Which is crazy. I haven't skated the Thems in a long time. So these are the original Them 909s. These came out in 2020, I think. 2020, spring of 2020. Remember, it was peak COVID. It was peak scary COVID when we didn't really know what was going on. So I got these, and I remember getting to the skate park super early because I didn't want to skate around anybody because we didn't know much about masking. Obviously, there was no vaccine. There was no medication that you could take. It was a really scary time. So I remember getting out there real early and skating. I really liked these boots. What I didn't like about them, I wasn't a huge fan of the sole plate. I felt like it was a little narrow, and the liners that came with them didn't fit super well. So I ended up swapping out with the RL ones. And then I eventually, I was able to skate them. Not my favorite skates, but definitely I see why people really like them. We are working on a skate. So I've been working on a skate for a couple of years now, and we're getting really close to announcing everything about it. Names, pricing, features, colors, team, all that stuff, everything about the skate. But I realized that, we're working on the sole plate. I realized that I've never skated the Them V3 sole plates. And I wanted to make sure that I skated every sole plate out there so I knew what was good and what was bad. And I can make my sole plate as good as possible using inspiration from all of the different brands out there. And this is a really good sole plate. So I bought myself a pair of the V3 sole plates. These are them. They are a little bit wider than the old ones, especially at the heel. You can see that it comes out a little bit more back here, a little bit more of a square edge. The old ones came and they kind of sliced down a little bit more. And that might have been what I didn't like about it. It just felt like I kind of slipped off a little bit more than, and again, maybe you didn't. But for some of us, we might not be great skaters. I need a little bit more help back here in the heel. And I feel like this heel helped me a lot. I only skated them a little bit. I've skated them twice now, 2 sessions. I haven't skated them on street. I haven't skated them at the skate park. It was just here at the mini ramp. But already I could tell that this sole plate was a huge improvement. You can see where I'm grinding. You can see the shine of the coping and the edge of the rail. So that's where the coping is. And you can tell, like, if this sole plate weren't this wide at the heel, it would rub off. It would be a lot closer for me to slip out. That's what I'm liking about these V3 sole plates. They also do have an improved groove. So this groove used to be a little like Nike swoosh. Now it's a little bit more of a concave cup, which feels really good. I haven't done a ton of Royales on them. I did a few really nice ones, and we had a couple people over at the warehouse. I had a hard time getting off. So as soon as I would get on a Royale, it felt so good I didn't want to get off. And I was like, oh, I'm running out of coping. So I had to fall back in because I didn't have time to actually roll away. So yeah, I do like these sole plates. I think they're a really good design. I'm looking at them. This is really thin. So I fear that this is going to wear out pretty quickly. I can already see it kind of wearing a little bit at the edge. But that's just the sort of skater that I am. I miss a lot. And when I miss a lot, I'm going to rub. And if I rub and it wears out the fin, it kind of sucks. But the geometry is good. It checks out. It looks like it works really well. I'm hoping to take them out to street this weekend. We'll see if I'm able to. It's supposed to be raining. Summer is really when I skate. Spring and summer is when I skate here. Winter is really difficult because every other weekend it's either super cold or it's raining. This weekend might be raining. I'm on the prime frames. So these are the Fitty Fitty prime frames. I'm swapping them out with silver axles because they look fierce with the silver cuff bolts. These are silver, yeah, they're silver cuff bolts. I think these are the Fruit Tech ones. Oh no, these are the Fruit Tech ones. I don't know where the other Fruit Tech ones are. But I love this look. I think it's a really good looking boot. I did have some liner issues. So when I first started skating these, I was in these Intuitions. So these are the Intuitions that came on my FR skates, the UFRs, which I still haven't skated. I know a lot of people out there are going to say, well, I haven't skated your UFRs yet. I haven't skated my UFRs yet. I might skate the UFRs. I don't know. They don't look like very fun skates for me, to be honest. And the fact that I was skating these Intuitions and really didn't like them kind of leads me to believe I won't like them for the UFRs. What I didn't like about them, this area back here, which is like the heel lock piece, I don't really know what it's called in Intuition speak, but you can see there's, the regular liner, and then there's this section that comes up. This is more stiff, and it gives you more support, which is great if you're doing free skating. I would love to skate these in my Aeon 80s or any skate that has big wheels that I'm just out there skating. They're really good. They're really supportive. The liners feel great, but I struggled trying to get boot down on Royales. They just hurt my ankles so much. Very similar feeling that I got from the rollerblade blanks, actually. Where are the rollerblade blanks? Oh, you know what? I don't know. Did I have the stock liner still? Yeah. So very similar feeling that I got with the Rollerblade Blanks. You can see these liners. It's a very thick, stiff liner. Like it's hard. And it basically is an extension of the cuff. So if you like a tall cuff, really good option. Really good option. They're actually probably the same height. That's probably why I didn't like these. Let me take these out and see how tall they are. It's funny, after skating all of these different skates, you get to know what you like about skates. And when something stumps you and you say, you know what, I should like these, but I don't. What's wrong? Well, it looks like, oh wow, the FRs are taller. Not that much taller though, to be honest. A few mil. But you can see how much taller they are. These blank liners though, very stiff up here. I was not feeling that. Same feeling that I'm getting with these FR Intuitions. They're just too tall, too stiff up there. So I've been skating the Rosie's RL1s. These are the liners that I really liked in these skates. You can see they're flexy. They're flexy. You should have some support up there. But you don't need too much support. You don't need it. You know, that's what the cuff is for. The cuff goes up. It's plastic. It keeps your foot in there. The liner should be a little bit flexy. Should be comfortable. It should flex to the way that you flex. And this is a really good liner for me. Haven't had any issues with them. These are the first release. I've heard a lot of people say that the stitching came out. There were all sorts of quality control issues. The RL2s are available now. They look amazing. I think you can get them on the Nils skate, some of them. Really, really cool liner. I'm a big fan of the Rosie's RL1s. If you can find the size that fits you, now they do something stupid. I don't know that they changed this, but they used to do something stupid. It's kind of worn out now. But instead of actually listing Mondo sizes, so Mondo is like the millimeter translation. So, you know, I'm a 28.5 centimeter foot, which is typically a size 44. It's like a 10.5 in the US, 9.5 in the UK, I think. 11.5 in the UK, I don't know which way it goes. But the Mondo size would be 285. So that's like the centimeter, the millimeter translation, 285 millimeters. For whatever reason, this liner, this RL1, hilariously, their sizing actually has for M12 and for Fifth Element. And it's like, if you're skating a M12, you should put them in this size. And if you're skating a Fifth Element, you should put them in this size. They didn't list anywhere what the size was from a Mondo perspective. So if I'm a size 44, which ones do I get? It didn't tell me. It was just like, oh, well, this is the one for the size 9 M12. It's like, all right, that doesn't really help me. But I found the perfect size. I think they changed that in the RL2, so you're able to see millimeters as well. Millimeters are a good standard. Everybody can find a way to measure their feet in millimeters. That's all that you need. Figure out your foot in millimeters. Find a skate, find a liner that has millimeters as your reference guide. Should be a standard, right? Measurements in centimeters. That's the way that it should be. Anyway, really liking these. And I had a really great session. You know, we had a few people over a couple weeks ago. Probably about 20 people at the warehouse, actually. We've been doing these open houses at the warehouse where, you know, I have the Balance Distribution warehouse. We have a little showroom in the front. We have my office back here where the Gear Talk wall is. And I do my reviews and my real job. I have a desk here where I write code and I do stuff like that. I'm on meetings a lot. But when I'm not working, I can go in the back and I can skate a little bit. And on the weekends, we've been opening it up. So if you are in the area, if you're in North Carolina, or if you're in West Virginia or South Carolina or somewhere, you know, within a few hours drive, we are here every Saturday from 10 to 1. And it is completely free, wide open. Come on over and skate with us. Last weekend, we had 3 people show up. The weekend before, we had about 20. It was bad weather, so it made sense. We'll probably have a lot of people this weekend, to be honest, because it's going to be pretty gross outside. But this last weekend, we had 2 people show up that I'd never met before. One of them was a local who was just, you know, following me on the Facebook and saw that we were open and came by and wanted to skate. He is a free skater and transitioning over to aggressive. So I think he's been doing aggressive for maybe 6 months. And just wanted to skate, you know, wanted to learn, a good opportunity to go out there and skate. The other skater is a woman who drove about 2 hours. I think she lives further east, so kind of like, you don't know North Carolina geography, but she lives a little bit further east. She drove 2 hours to get here, and the reason was that, you know, she saw the posts on the Instagram or the YouTube or whatever, and she doesn't have a lot of people to skate with in her town. So she has a skate park that's not great, and she loves skating. So she said, well, I'm going to make the trip because there's a chance that I might meet other skaters, that I might be able to skate with other people, and I'll have a skate park that I can actually skate. So we were able, she got here early, we were able to set her up with the down box, and she was learning how to do her Mizu, Makio, things like that. And she had never really done any grinds before, but she was able to get on my little grind box and was able to do a few grinds. And then we transitioned over to skating the mini ramp, and she was doing really well. She was dropping in, she was doing 180s. She was trying to get stalls. I think that was kind of a stretch goal for her. I think more, she just wanted to feel comfortable skating, but she was doing a lot of carves, a lot of airs. It was really, really good session. Everybody was doing a great job. So if that's the sort of thing that you're interested in, you know, and obviously you can take a look at some of the products and just hang out, get your skates fixed. I've got a whole workbench back there, so if you need new bearings or if you've got something funky going on with your skates, you can't figure out what's wrong, I would love to take a look and see if I can help. Every Saturday from 10 to 1, we're here in Durham, North Carolina. You can go to balancedist.com and find a link to visit us. That's where you can find directions and our address, pictures of the showroom, and see where to go. It's a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying it. That's, for me, you know, I'm not able to skate every weekend anymore. And I'm not doing the weekly videos like I used to, but for me, this is a good use of my energy. I feel like getting out there and skating with other people, helping them get more engaged in the community, helping them figure out how to skate, that makes me feel good. So definitely would love to meet you and have you come out and skate. I'll be here this Saturday. I'll probably be skipping next Saturday, but I will be here this Saturday, 10 to 1. And yeah, come on out, say hey, bring your skates, or don't, just hang out. Doesn't matter to me. But yeah, I hope to see you then. All right, get a little bit of water, and then let's get to your questions. If you have a question, I would love to answer your question. I love answering questions. Make sure that you tag Back to Blading. There are already a few good questions, so that's great. Make sure that you tag Back to Blading so that I can see it. If you're watching this in the future, leave a question, or if you're listening on the podcast, leave a question in the YouTube video. I always answer all of my comments. Love to get feedback from the community or questions that you might have a difficult time Googling. Love to find out the answers for you. Send you some links for more information, things like that. Let's get started. Just make sure that you tag Back to Blading on the live chat so that I can see it. It shows up in orange. It's a lot easier. There's a bunch of chats today. We got 79, 80 people watching right now. Really great show. Thanks everybody for showing up on your Wednesday. Hope you're enjoying your evening. First question is from, it's actually not from Truski. Good to see you, sir. But it is from Mark Gianulo. Thinking about getting a T60R core setup and 5888 wheels. Will be mostly wood park, some concrete when the weather warms up. Any reason to go 60 or 9092? Writing an ancient set of Cosmos now. Cosmos, interesting. Figured the face profile would help with wheel bite, and I love grippy wheels. First of all, congratulations on your Cosmos. I don't know how long you've had them, but they're very rare now. I know a few people who have a set. I actually have a set. Where are they? Oh, they're up here. I have some mini flies on these old fatties. These are some Cosmo wheels. Beautiful. They're actually in pretty good condition. I don't know what size they are. But these used to be, as the skate falls apart on me, these used to be Andy Cruz's skates that he donated to Eisenberg's. And now they are in the wall. But yeah, these are beautiful, beautiful wheel. I don't know how big they are, but what a color. right? The aged wheels. These are probably, what, 20 years old, 25 years old? Anyway, Cosmo is legendary. Can't say that 50/50 wheels can compete with Cosmo. They are kind of in this upper echelon of wheels that I don't think we're ever going to get back. But I will say that they are great wheels. For me, 5888 is the way to go. The T60R frames, I actually have a set here. They're designed for flat 60. So you could get 6088s. You would have a little bit more speed. The round profile of the 50/50 wheels is really great for cruising around bowls, cruising around skate parks. I agree that I think 88A is the way to go, especially if you're skating mostly wood. If you like a little bit more grip, 88A is really good. That's what I ride. I love the 88A compound. It feels like a lot of nice little bounce that you get. Highly recommended. Between 58 and 60 though, I'd probably go with the 60s. You could always wear them down a little bit. The added speed that you're going to get with the 60s is going to be noticeable. A little bit slower to get to top speed, but you'll have a little bit more cruise. And I think the profile might be a little bit better. It's a little bit more stable than the 58 millimeter profile. It's a more of a face profile, a very bullety profile, which I really like. But I feel like in your situation with skating mostly skate parks, it's probably a good idea to get a rounded profile 60 millimeter. Actually, I will share that Yandril Savario, who rides for Chroma and 50/50, he is getting ready for Winter Clash and for Bitter Cold, and he rides a 58, 92 on the inside, 90s on the outside. That's his signature wheel for Chroma. But he's transitioned over to 60s, so he's riding China's 88A and Stefan's 90A on the inside because he wanted that 60 millimeter coast. He wanted a little bit more speed for skating indoor parks, and that's great. I mean, that's what you want a 60 millimeter wheel for. So if that doesn't tell you, 60 millimeters is probably the way to go. I don't know what will. I would go with the 60 millimeters. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm always happy to help out. And I think we have white and black in 60 millimeter and 88A. So these walls take a couple days to print. I think I am caught up with orders right now, so they should start whenever the next order comes in. But who knows? Some days I get 3 orders, some weeks I get no orders. It's really hard to predict. But we have 2 printers that are going 24/7. So if there's an order that comes in, we print them as soon as they get here. And it usually takes, no more than a week or 2 to get you all set up with a set of frames. Thanks for watching and thanks for the support. Hope you figure out what you like, and yeah, let me know if you have any questions. All right, scrolling. My friend Ben is in the live chat. Hey Ben, hope that you're doing well. Absurd question time. What's your least favorite skate you reviewed, and why was it the Shadows? Actually, the Shadows were better than the Rems. The Shadows weren't my favorite. The biggest issue that I had with the Shadows was the open toe area. I don't have my Shadows here, but you can look at these Shadows. What are these? Whose are these? Oh, I forgot his name, and it doesn't say on the thing. I forget whose these are. But if you look at the Shadows, this open toe area is the problem. So I fall down a lot, and I fell and my one foot hit this top toe, and it just crunched my toes because there's absolutely no protection up here. This one actually has a little bit of protection. So this thing, as weird as it is, actually protects that front area. Most Shadows don't. So that was the biggest thing about the Shadows. Oh, there we go. No, it was the Rems. The Rems made my feet bleed. I have fairly normal feet, but that 6th toe issue, can I reach them? Yeah. That 6th toe issue, so the way that this toe is cut, or is shaped, I should say. There we go. The way this toe is shaped, for whatever reason, this area over here just digs into most people's feet. And I'm one of those most people. After about 20 minutes skating, my foot was red and I had a little blister area that started bleeding. They're just the worst feeling skates for me. I've tried them with different liners. Not only are they heavy because they have a sole plate on top of a sole plate, you can see the old sole plate under there. Why did they do that? I don't know. That's what they did. But they have this crazy skin that digs into your foot. I think this is an amazing design. I wish that they would take the time to redesign the Rems, spend a little bit of money, because I feel like they have a huge following. If they could bring it back to the days that it was an amazing skate. The sole plate was great. The Royale groove was great. They were just super heavy, and they hurt my feet to a point where they started bleeding. So that would be the review that I was not a big fan of. I cannot reach to put it back up there, simply because it hurt my foot so much that it started bleeding. But thanks for asking. I'm glad to see you here, and I hope that you started the new job this week. Is it this week? Maybe next week? Congratulations either way. Christopher Pauly, what's this little bird on your shirt? Thank you for asking. This is I don't know what it was called. I think it was called Fire something. It was a attempt from a company called Icon Factory, who makes Twitterific. They make a Twitter app for iPhone, Mac OS, I think. And I'm a huge fan of the Icon Factory. I'm an iPhone developer myself. So I love seeing what other developers do. And the Icon Factory is kind of like the developer's developer. They're just a bunch of cool people who make amazing icons. They do a lot of work that you might not realize. They've done work for most of the big companies out there, but they also make some really cool apps. And one of their app ideas was they wanted to port Twitterific for iPhone over to the Mac. And they wrote a translation layer that took the iOS code, which was written in Objective-C but using UIKit, and transitioned that over so that it would run natively on the Mac. Now, right now, you can do that using, what's it called? I forget what it's called. I haven't developed on the Mac for a long time, but there is a technology that they have that allow you to run iOS apps directly on Mac OS. I can't remember what it is. Anyway, when they were trying to invest in this technology, they did a Kickstarter, and they sold t-shirts so that they could fund their development. And I wanted to support them. I was paying for the app already. And I said, well, let's support them. Unfortunately, the last couple of weeks has been a bit of a shit show over at Twitter, with Elon Musk coming in and just like a bull in a china shop destroying everything for absolutely no reason. $44 billion, and now the company is worth maybe $3 billion. I don't know. Advertisers fleeing, developers are getting kicked out left and right. Even today, it's down right now because he's kicked everybody off, has fired half of the employees. It's just not paying his rent. He's just a horrible person. And in full disclosure, I drive a Tesla, so I love the work that he's done. I don't know how involved he was with the development of the car, but it's an amazing car. But the guy is just a complete lunatic. Anyway, the Icon Factory made an app called Twitterific, and it is no longer a viable business. And they weren't given any notice. It was like, hey, we're making a thing on a platform that is owned by somebody else, that is totally condoned, that we've developed an API so that you can make these apps. And then Elon takes over, and a few weeks after he takes over, he says, nope, no more API access for you, just completely killing these businesses that were relying on it. And the worst part is he lies about it, and there was no notice. So they basically just turned off their access on a Friday, and they weren't able to do anything. So me as a Twitter user since 2005 maybe, I can't use the apps. I use Tweetbot, but I love Twitterific. And I wasn't able to access Twitter because that's the way that I do it. I don't go through their app because I feel like they track me all over the place. And I couldn't access Twitter. It's like, well, what's going on? And it turns out, he cut the API. But he didn't tell the developers. And, it was a week later that the Twitter's comms team tweets, oh yeah, the API has revoked access to a few developers for long-standing API, infractions, or going against long-standing API rules or some crap like that. And then 2 days after that, he updates the API rules to say that apps like Twitterific can't exist. So he's just a complete asshole. So I'm in solidarity with the developers over at Icon Factory and Tweetbot developers who are no longer able to make a living based on making amazing apps for Twitter. And I hate Elon. I think he's an idiot. Hate is a strong word, but the guy he's just a horrible person. So that's what this shirt is, Chris. I'm sorry for the rant. I don't talk to people about this sort of stuff very often, but I'm a developer and I fight for developers. And I think that what has happened over at Twitter is it's horrible. And you see a lot of backstepping now. I hope that Twitter sticks around. I think, it's down now because of some issues. I have a feeling that the Super Bowl is going to destroy Twitter really hard. They fired everybody who knew what they were doing over there because they wanted to cut costs. They wanted to cut costs, and that is not the way that you run a business, especially stabbing these developers in the back without giving them at least the nicety of just saying, hey, we're going to cut off the API. You got 2 weeks. Nope, just pull the rug. So anyway, that is why I'm wearing this shirt. And I love these guys, so thank you for asking and letting me talk about it. Mr. Darren25, good to see you, sir. Can we see you do one last ride in the USD 7 before you debut your skate? Maybe. Do I still have the 7s? I've got the Gods FM3s. The problem with these skates, I can skate the 7s again. I do really like the 7s. The more that I skate, the more that I realize that I like a lot of things about the USD 7, but I don't like the USD 7. The sizing is just weird. The sole plate just feels wrong. There's the internal shock absorber I think makes a lot of sense, but yeah, the fit is just weird. And this boot itself is just a little bit too wide for my foot. I feel like I should downsize to a size 9. Especially with these FM3s or the TF1s. They just didn't fit my feet really well. So I do have my old USD 7s. These are the old ones. I might put these on again and just do a tribute skate. But to be honest, I think our skates are going to be here sooner than I realize. So hopefully I'll just be able to skate our skates, and I will be super happy versus trying to go back in time and skate the 7s. But never say never. I've been enjoying the 909s, so I should probably skate those plastic skates again. Good question. Good suggestion, too. Christopher Pauly, how does the Hexi split compare to the Aeon? That is an excellent question. So this is the Hexi. I don't have my calipers here, do I? No, I brought them home, but I have my Aeons. I'll hold them both up. I think the Aeon is wider. This also is a 270 millimeter. This is a 250, so the 250 might not be, it is the 250, right? I think it's the 250. The 250 might not be as wide as the 270. The 270 might be a little bit wider, but this is 250, and you can see the split on the 250 compared to the Aeon. There you go. It looks like the groove is very similar, and it looks like the wheel bite protection is very similar. You can see the little recess area, and you can see the little nubs that stick out. That's a really solid setup. But this is flat 60, or 61, or I don't even know, 60, whatever. This being, 56s with 60s on the outside. Probably a little bit wider if you had a 270 millimeter. I don't know offhand. But you can go to Core Frame Market and get all of the specs. They'll list out the distances between, I want to say it's like 140, and I think this is like 150. So you got about 10 millimeters difference from the Aeon. Thing is, though, I don't know that the Aeon, the way that this Aeon is, I don't know that this is the way that we should be skating. The nice thing about skating 4 down and a flat setup is that you get a little bit of a pivot point. That's why people love the Wizard setups now. You know, they got the pivot point on that third wheel, so they can do swizzly stuff. They can do, you know, all of their whatever tricks they're called. You lose that ability if you're skating anti-rocker, or if you're skating with wheels that are so wide, they don't really give you that option. If this were rockered, like a 1 mil rocker, that would be a really interesting setup. But an Aeon, just flat, it just feels more like an anti-rocker setup than it does a flat setup. I understand why. I still recommend it for people. I think this is a really good setup for people just getting back into it, because you are going to get a more comfortable ride if you're skating 4 down, but it's not a flat setup. It's an Aeon. Like, there's a distance. This frame, probably the same. You might get a little bit less, a little bit more pivot than you would get with Aeon, but still, this huge, huge split. Nice thing about the frame market is that you can try it. It's $50 for a set of walls. If you don't like them, you can sell them. But yeah, definitely worth trying. I like the Hexies. I print a lot of them. I know that they're very popular. And I've seen a bunch of them out in the wild, which is a really good feeling too. YO Booter, still need to try the FR soles. I do. Do I have my FR? I don't know where they are. I think they're down here somewhere. I want to skate them as like an urban setup. And I think, you know, skating them with like some Compass 80s, I think would be a really good ride. So I'll definitely try that. I'm really interested in big wheels. You know, I think that the aggressive market, you know, I'm kind of jumping into the aggressive market. I don't want to compete. I don't want to review skates that I'm competing with. So, you know, that's kind of the end of my reviews for the aggressive market. But there's a lot of skates out there that I want to try. So definitely still looking into it. And I still have the skates. I still have the liners. So I got to give it a shot. It'll happen someday. Oops, just jumped again. Ravenous Pathogen. Where's the PVC display rail? It's still not done. It's the last thing on my list. I've got so much more going on. It's not something that I'm prioritizing. I know that you're going to ask again. Feel free to ask again. It's not done. It's not going to be done for a while. But thanks for tuning in. Justin Thursday, only 2 printers now? Yeah, Justin, that third printer is still down. I got all the parts that you recommended. I haven't been able to set it up, but yeah. We're down to 2 printers. It moves pretty quick. I'm using the 0.6, so it's a lot faster. It takes about 24 hours for a complete wall, but yeah, it's a long process. It is what it is. Still keeping my head above water. Marco Costa Santofimio. Hi from Colombia. I'm a beginner looking for my first aggressive skate between $200 and $300. I like the look of the blanks. Any recommendations? Foot size 295 and regular width. The blanks are a great skate. I think that you would be very happy with them. Where are they? I have them there. Oh, just take them off phone. Only negatives about the blanks. They're a little bit heavy. I didn't like the liners. I felt like it was a little bit restrictive. But everything else was great. I love the fit. Love the sole plate. It was really fast. A little bit floppy because this frame mounts directly to the boot instead of to a sole plate. That means that the material that you're mounting the frame to is as squishy as a boot versus as hard as a sole plate. If you can notice things like that, you're a beginner to aggressive, so I don't think it's going to make much of a difference. But if you are noticing things like that, that's something to consider. Really not an issue if you're skating low profile frames. Anything with like a 60 millimeter wheel or lower, absolutely fine. You won't notice the difference. If you want to skate something bigger, 80 millimeter frames, you will notice the difference. It will feel like you're flexing a little bit more if you're trying to get an edge. Not a huge deal, but it's something to consider. I think the only real negative to this, that is worth mentioning is they are a little bit heavy. But I've seen some people out there skate them and they skate really well. Yeah, I think the rollerblade blanks are great. These are the size 10s. They are 28.5 centimeter. If you get the 11s, I think they'll fit you perfectly. 29.5. Yeah, that's a really good size. The beauty of this skate is that they go to every shell break. So the 29.5 is a different shell than the 28.5 is a different shell than the 27.5. So they have all the different shells. That means your foot is going to fit perfectly inside there. If the liner isn't great for you, you can always swap out the liner. You can always swap out the frames. Really great choice. And you can't beat the price. You know, for under 300 bucks, it's a really, really great deal. Highly recommended. I would definitely get these skates if I were in the market. Kyle Galt, hey Log, glad you keep doing this. Where is the craziest or most unique place you've ever skated? I skated on the flight deck on my ship last and thought it was crazy as we sailed. Well, I've never skated on a moving object. That is something that I've never done. Craziest place I've skated. You know, I would say that, funny enough, I haven't thought about this in a long time, but when we were growing up, Jason, Marshall, and I, we went to see the Blade Warriors. So they were doing a tour. The Blade Warriors were over at the Oakland Coliseum, which is where the Warriors used to play and the Oakland A's used to play. I think they still play, I don't know. And they had a skate park set up in there, and they were doing demos, and there was a show that they were inviting people over to check out, and we brought our skates, and they said, you know, we said, hey, is it okay if we skated? And they were cool with it, and that was really cool. So we were skating there, and then we decided that after that we were going to skate outside, and because we were part of the demo team at this time, like we weren't actually part of the demo team, but we were people who were part of this team, and they, you know, said, oh yeah, they're with us, you know, so whatever. We went outside of the Coliseum, and the security didn't care because we were there with them, like, and we were skating the rails outside the Coliseum. So I wasn't good enough, but Jason was out there, and he did a soul, and this is back in the day. So this is, I mean, he was probably on Lightning TRS or maybe Tarmacs, and he soul grind this long kinked rail. It was probably like a 20 flat 20, and it was I mean, amazing to me. So yeah, that's probably the weirdest place. Technically, I didn't skate there. I skated inside the Coliseum, but yeah, watching Jason skate the handrails outside of the Coliseum, that's a pretty crazy place in my eyes. But I've never skated a moving platform, so that's definitely one up me there for sure. All right. Let's get to the main event. We're about an hour in, perfect timing. A little bit of water. So, I did mention that I'm starting a skate company, and it is Aggressive Skate. So I don't want to review aggressive skates anymore. You know, I stopped reviewing aggressive frames back when I brought back 50/50. And I felt like, reviewing frames, being a frame company, that doesn't sit well with me. Reviewing other skates, being a skate company, that's not going to sit well with me. So instead, I love doing reviews and I love trying new skates. To keep myself fresh and to keep trying new things, I'm going to start reviewing big wheel skates. And I'm really excited about this because I feel like there's a market out there of skaters who want to know if the skates that they like, that they see on a website or whatever, are any good. And I don't think that there are communities that they can get information about that. Not easy access communities. You know, we have a lot of places as an aggressive skater, we have a lot of places where we can get reviews and information about aggressive skates. I don't know that other half, the recreational side, has as much a passionate community that reviews this stuff. There is a lot at the high end. I'm not saying that they don't have them, but I want to help out that community and I want to skate these skates and I want to try them and get to know what they're like. I love skating. You know, bottom line, even if I'm not doing soul grinds or royales or anything, I love the act of skating. You know, putting wheels on my feet is the reason why I came back into blading. And it's the reason why I started skating in the first place. And I feel like all of us go back to the simple act of just putting wheels on our feet and going skating down the street. And that's why we love what we love and we do what we do. So I am going to start doing some more reviews for big wheel skates. That is my goal for this year, for 2023, is I want to do a few more reviews. I don't have a number in mind, maybe, one a quarter. But I want to spend a little bit more time getting to know what makes a good big wheel skate. I have skated a bunch of skates out there. I've skated the Flying Eagle F7s. I've skated the Power Slide Imperials. I've skated the Power Slide Next. I've skated the Power Slide Swells. What else have I skated? It's probably all the big wheel skates that I've tried. But there's so many other good ones out there. So I'm going to start that journey, and one of the companies that I've been really interested in is Seba. Now, Seba is a weird company. Seba used to be more into big wheel skates. They kind of had a split a few years back where Seba became the aggressive, more like urban style, and then they created a new brand called FR, and FR was for free ride. They were more of the urban, the big wheel brand. And I don't know where the split actually is, but I've always been a big fan of the big wheel skates that the Seba brand was making. Now I feel like they still use the same factory, so it's still kind of the same vibe that I was really curious about years ago, but now it's just under a different name, under FR. Seba's still making a lot of great skates, and tonight I got a pair of Seba skates that I want to try. It's my first review of 2023. Familiar box. This is a similar box to what my CJs came in, 4 years ago when I got them, 3 years ago when I got them. These bad boys. Huge fan of these skates when they first came out. I do have some plans for these boots. Not the best boots for me right now, but when I was skating them, I really liked them. And I know how to make them better, so I'm really looking forward to doing that. That's another thing on my list. But I've been a fan of Seba for a long time. I think they're a really great brand. They make really high quality stuff. Tonight, I'm going to start skating. Well, not tonight. I'm not going to go skating tonight. But I got myself a pair of the Seba Trix2s. So these are some crazy ass looking skates. Compared to anything that I've skated before, this is the one that I looked at and I was like, I want to get a pair of those, because they look crazy, completely different than anything that I've ever skated. And I feel like this will be a really good test to see how I feel about skating weird, different big wheel skates. This is not a plastic shell boot, but it is a plastic shell boot. So let's take it apart. First of all, this is a 165 mil mount. Sorry, I can't talk. A 165 mount. So what that means is that there are 2 bolts underneath that mount this frame onto the boot. They are 165 millimeters apart. It's kind of the standard for big wheels. So if you look at most big wheel skates, 165 mount is what you're going to see. You can get a lot of replacement frames for 165 mount now. And this frame specifically is a little bit short for me. So this is a 243 mil frame. That means that from the first wheel to the last wheel is 243 millimeters. Now that is as tight as you can get for an 80 millimeter wheel without rubbing. You can see how close it is. You can barely see my finger between them. If I have any, I can take this piece of cardboard, very thin piece of cardboard, and I will put them between the wheels and they will probably not fit. That is how tight the distance is between these wheels. That is unnecessary in my opinion. I think that it could be a little bit longer, especially on a size 44 boot. I betcha that the size 45, 46 use the same frame, and that just seems ridiculous. Make a longer frame. I'm always telling people that if you want a good stable ride, you should get a frame that's about 10 to 15 millimeters shorter than your foot. I'm 28.5, that's why 270 millimeter is my preferred length for a frame. This being 243, that's going to be really short. That's shorter than any of the aggressive frames that I make. Crazy, crazy talk. But here I am, a size 10.5 foot. That's going to be a really, really weird ride. But it is a nice frame. It is an extruded aluminum. It looks really clean, really solid. You know, I've heard a lot of good things about Seba. They do have an internal, so between the H-block, there's a little bit of a, between the two wheels, there's a little bit of an H-block inside. Just means that there's a little bit more support. This is probably a cast frame, judging by the H-block itself, actually. The way that it's designed, it would be crazy to machine this. So it's probably a cast frame. Yeah, I can see the cast lines. Which isn't as strong as an extruded aluminum, but it's going to be nice and responsive. The boot itself, this thing is crazy. So it is kind of similar to like a carbon free, I guess. It's got a plastic shell. So this is plastic. They do make a Trix. This is the Trix2. They make a Trix that's carbon. And I didn't really want to do that. I felt like plastic was the way to go. You know, these were on clearance. I don't think a lot of people skate them because they're funky looking. But I've heard really good things about this design. And I feel like the plastic shell is what I want. A little bit more responsiveness, but a little bit more cushion. The carbon would be really good, but it's just, it's expensive and it's stiff and probably unnecessary for the way that I'm going to skate these. But they've got the plastic shell. I would imagine, I haven't taken them apart, I would imagine it's a very similar line to the carbon free, where it goes all the way around, probably up here around the ankle and back down. That is the typical size of the way plastic shoes, plastic boots go. You can see there's squish here, which means that the plastic is probably not all the way up. It's probably not plastic here, but you can see the plastic on the bottom. So it's all plastic. And then they use a glue. You can see a little bit of the glue under here to get the skin on. This skin wraps around your foot, and this lacing area gives you a nice, you can feel it, a nice squishy top, which is the same feeling that I love in all carbon skates. Feels like you're skating in a shoe, and the shoe is just got wheels on it, and it's nice and fast and comfortable. This thing has 3 buckles and it has laces. So the laces probably, I don't even know what I'm going to do with these laces. But let's take the buckles apart and let's see what's going on. It's got a Velcro strap up top, really strong Velcro, feeling good about that. It's got a Velcro strap on the bottom. This is for that toe area. I'm not really sure why you need a Velcro strap on the bottom. Maybe I'll find out. But the coolest thing is it's got a ratchet buckle, if I could figure out how to open it. So this side looks like it's done. Press, lift, push down, there it goes. All right. So there's this little clamp over here. This is the ratchet. You open it up and it ratchets, and then there's this squish area that you pull out, and it allows you to loosen this up. It is an integrated liner. A little bit of free paper. Always like free stuff. It's an integrated liner. So what that means is, versus a traditional plastic shell, where you have a plastic shell and then you slide the liner in this case, the liner is integrated into the shell. So you've got the plastic underneath. You've got what feels like a little bit of plastic up here in the cuff. Maybe it's not plastic. Maybe a little bit of plastic. But the liner itself is not removable. So the padding on the inside is what you get. If you like the padding, great. It should fit you nicely. Probably heat moldable. Does it say it's heat moldable? Doesn't say that it's heat moldable. I would bet that it's heat moldable though. What that means is that you can get a more custom fit by skating these more. As your foot sweats and it gets hot, the material on the inside will soften and become more like a gel instead of a hard material. You can speed up that process by putting these skates in the oven. Again, I don't know if these skates are heat moldable. Don't do it. I'm not going to heat mold mine, but you should be able to heat mold skates. Put them in the oven like 175 Fahrenheit or whatever for about 15 minutes. Get them nice and toasty, not too hot. You're not making a souffle or anything like that. But you want them a little bit hot so that the material starts to get a little bit more like a gel. take them out of the oven, put them on your feet, lace them up, and sit there for 20 minutes or so for them to cool down. As they cool down, they will harden. That is when you get a really nice fit. You can do that without putting them in the oven. You can just skate. As your feet sweat, they will feel much better over time. I'm probably going to go with that. I'm probably going to skate these for a bit. Go out on the weekends and go out and skate and see what they really feel like. Inside, we've got an insole. If I can try to get it out. Yep, there we go. Nothing fancy, just a normal insole. A little bit of a heel shock. I like non-fancy insoles. A little bit of a heel raise, but not much at all. Just very thin up front. And then in the back, ooh, so this material, it's kind of hard to see. Maybe you can see in there. But the whole bottom area is stitched in, so non-removable bottom area. But I can see on the sides here, it has a little bit of a shock absorber. So this is a little squishy. And I like that because that means that I'm going to get a little bit more bounce, a little bit more padding on my heels when I'm skating. The problem is that that will introduce a little bit more heel lift. So this is a raised heel boot, which means that the heel is about 10 to 12 millimeters taller than the front area. Pitches your foot a little bit forward, means that you're falling forward a little bit. That is a normal feeling. You need to have a little bit of forward lean. Otherwise, it'll feel like you're falling backwards. If you take your shoes off, you look at your shoes, most shoes have a little bit higher heel than it has a toe. Skates typically have about a 10 mil difference from the back to the front. The problem is if you add an additional shock absorber in the back, that can pitch you even further forward. Might be a problem. We'll see when I go out there and skate. But there's not a lot to really pick apart in here. This is a fairly integrated boot. You don't have a lot of options. Either it fits your foot or it doesn't. Maybe it's heat moldable. Maybe it isn't. It didn't tell me. But I am really looking forward to giving them a try because they feel really advanced. I've never seen a skate like this. Look at this heel area. So they have these, I guess it's kind of similar to like in the Intuition liners. Where'd they go? Where they have this area back here that is like a heel lock that gives you a little bit more support back there. Very similar design back here. It's kind of like a 45-degree strap that's built into the side of the boot. Super interesting. Yeah, I'm super fascinated. I'm really looking forward to trying these out. I don't know what they're good for. They were probably $350, $400. Normally, I think I got them on sale for like $220 or something like that. I don't know what they're worth. I don't know if they're good. I'm going to go out there and skate them and see what I think. Initial thoughts, they look really interesting. I don't know what pants I'm going to wear with them. I don't really know what pants you wear with fitness skates. I'm going to have to look at some YouTube videos and see what people wear because an aggressive skater, you know, I skate between my jeans or my cargo pants. I don't know if that's the fashion for skate like this. I don't know if this is a slalom skate. I bet you could do some slalom stuff. Maybe I'll try some slalom stuff. It doesn't look like there's a rocker. Maybe there's a rocker. Doesn't look like there's a rocker. Is there a rocker? Shouldn't be a rocker. No rocker. So yeah, I don't know that they're designed for slalom. I think they're just designed for all-around skating, which is going to be really fun to explore. I'm looking forward to doing it. Probably post another video about it. Probably go out and skate, not this weekend, but the next weekend, and do my kind of a first impressions video. I do those for my big wheel skates at a different place. Usually go to Durham Skate Park for aggressive skates. For this, I have a nice little office park out in Morrisville that I like to go to. It's got all different terrains. It's got uphill, it's got downhill, it's got loading docks, it's got little areas that I can do slides, it's got little areas that I can do gaps, and feel what these skates feel like. If that's interesting to you, make sure that you subscribe so you can check it out. These are the Seba Trix2s. I don't know when they came out. I don't know a lot about them, but I'm really interested in learning more. If you have any questions about the Sebas, have you ever skated Seba skates before? They're not a really big brand here in the US. I got these from an inline warehouse, and I paid for these skates. You know, I used my my YouTube money. Actually, this is my Reels money. So on Instagram, you post the Reels and you can get some money. And I saved up so that I got my Reels bonus. And, you know, I had a few $100 and I was like, well, I'm going to get some skates so that I can make some more content. So this is my first pair of big wheel skates. First pair of big wheel skates I've had in a long time. Really interested in trying them out. I hope that you watch the video and, you know, let me know what you think. Was that what you were expecting? I don't know. Maybe you were expecting some CJs or some CJ Primes or something like that. Nope. Trix2. All right, a little bit more water, and let's get the rest of your questions, and I'm going to get out of here. I'm looking at the concurrent viewers, and it looks like as soon as I whipped out the Seba Trix2, people left. They said, I'm not really interested in big wheels. I'm out. I don't blame you. Those are some weird skates, but we'll see. All right. Anuj, some frames have extra wheel bite protection with plastic extending on the H-block around wheels 2 and 3. Is there any disadvantage to this? If not, why wouldn't every frame have it? That's a really great question. I think about this a lot as a frame designer and as a skater. I'm always looking at ways that my setup can be a little bit easier on me. A good example would be these Dark Mage frames. So you can see there is this, instead of having it completely flat, there's this little area here that offers a little bit of wheel bite protection. That's what they call it, wheel bite protection. Do I have a setup with frames? I guess the Aeon's a good example. Even though this split is massive, you can see this area here where the frame extends below where the frame usually is. So this is the frame line, and you can see there's this little nub that sticks up. Typically that is called wheel bite protection. You can get a few different frames that offer it. You know, production frames, injection molded frames. I think the Ground Control Featherlight 4 has it. I guess you could say the Mesmers have it. Not really. It's more very little bit here, but I wouldn't call that a wheel bite protection. I would call that just a narrow groove for skating flat. But I don't know that that's wheel bite protection. Not compared to like this or like one of these, you know, that extends really low. There's a bunch of frames out that have it. I think the Wish frame is a good example. The Cultic frame, probably the most famous frame that had it. One of the other frames that were really popular with it is the K2 Unnatural frames. You can see it really clear as day here. If it's so good for skating, why don't you find that in every frame? Well, there's a few reasons. The first reason is it's really good for skating flat. Not really good for skating anti-rocker. Traditionally, if you want an anti-rocker frame, there's a couple things that you want. You want a wide split, you want a deep groove. So I feel like the Prime frames we designed for anti-rocker. Do I have a setup with anti-rocker? No, I don't. Ooh, I just have them with flat. Well, let me show the Featherlight 3s. These are probably the most popular anti-rocker frame. Good example. So you want a wide split, you want a deep groove. You compare that to these Unnaturals. It is not as wide. How do I show this? Let me turn them around for you. There. So it is not as wide. There you go. Not as wide. And the split is lower. So this groove actually is super high, which makes Royales a little bit more difficult. Anti-rocker, you don't have to worry about that. Anti-rocker, you get a nice deep groove because you are riding anti-rocker wheels. You don't have to worry about wheel bite. And this angle, the Royale angle, is a lot lower. But this isn't great for any rocker. You're limited to this groove. If you're skating flat, it's really not bad. There are some negatives. If you stub yourself in this area, you can catch on some frames that aren't designed super well. I think the Wish frame does it best of all of them. Maybe the Aeon frame is right up there. But when they come to a nice peak like this, and I'll say the Dark Mage is kind of the same problem in my eyes. When they come to a peak like this, that's just an area that can get caught and possibly crack or break. I'm not a big fan of that design. I think the Wish frame, more like the Justin Thursday frame, this is a very smooth design that comes up. I prefer that. I think that there's less edges to catch on ledges. So potentially you could catch something here and it wouldn't end well. But really, I think if you are designing a flat frame that's specific for flat, you want the H-block to come a little bit lower. You want a little bit of wheel bite protection. You want those middle wheels to be as far away from the ledge as possible. And if you can't get them far away, you want to put some sort of material in front of them so that they can grind on that material instead of the wheels. Ultimately, you want to skate flat. You want to have as much speed and maneuverability as possible, but you need something that you can still grind on. I love this design. I think that they're really great. For me, skating flat, I just don't know if it's necessary. I've always just loved skating, you know, balance twos or a great frame for skating flat. If you get good wheels, you know, 58 bullet profile, 60 bullet profile, something with a bullet profile, I think it'll make a bigger difference than getting something that, you know, goes a little bit lower and makes groove tricks a little bit more difficult. I haven't skated these style of frame enough though to really have a educated opinion on it. I do hope that we'll be able to make a flat frame in the future for 50/50 that will incorporate some of these design ideas into something that I really like. And when that happens, I'll definitely share it here. But until then, you know, I'm skating flat with a completely flat frame. I prefer the primes with a 56mm wheel. That is my preferred setup for flat. A lot of people like skating flat with 56s on Create Originals. You know, something with a deep groove, wide split, small wheels. That's kind of the traditional flat setup. I think a lot of people like that. But then on the other side of the house, there are plenty of people out there who love their Wish frames. And, you know, I know the Wish Medium is probably the most popular flat frame out there. Great question. I have more to say when I get a little bit further along. Unfortunately, this boot project, you know, we have some frames that we've been working on. The boot project has taken over a little bit more of my time, as you can imagine. So I'm focused on that, but yeah, hoping that we'll have some announcements for flat frames probably next year. I think 2024 is when we'll do that. Frame a year. And this year we're bringing out a boot, so it's hard to bring out more stuff. Great question though. Justin Thursday, isn't the blank weight all in the frame? Can you compare the boot to some others on the scale? I think I can. I think I have my hex key here. If I remember correctly, the boot itself was heavy too, but you might be right. So let me get these blanks. Where did it go? Where's the one? Oh, here it is. I'll just use it with the liner and everything. So let's take off the frame. So the beauty of UFS is that if a boot is UFS compatible, you should be able to fit any other UFS frame on the market. So a UFS boot should be compatible with a UFS frame. It's 167 millimeters from 1 to 2. So that is the split. Unfortunately, the rollerblade blank is 165 millimeters. So some frames don't fit properly on the rollerblade blank. I don't know why they did that. That's just the way that it is sometimes. Some people just do what they want, and that's what they do. Anyway, let me weigh this boot. So in grams, boot only, this is with the stock liner, stock sole plate. We're at 1564. 1564, boot only for the rollaway blank. 1564. Let's see what else I have boot only available right now. We can go with an adapt. Probably cheating. 1564. 1222. So 1564 is the number. 1564. Let's see what else I've got handy. Majestic 12. One size 564. 1205. You see where I'm getting. 1564. Let's try a 909. Now I can take these off. Oh, I can't reach them. 1564. What else do I have? I have these skinned Volos. Ugh! Which everybody said they were the heaviest skates. 1564. 1712. So these are heavy skates. I could do the rims. 1564. Oh, I don't have the frames off. Oh, I do have the frames off. Where'd they go? Where's the rims? Oh, there they are. Ugh. 1564. 1564. 1707. So 1564 is pretty up there. You could do the USD 7, 1564, 1210. You see what I'm getting at? It's like 300 grams heavier than it needs to be. If this is a similar setup with a sole plate, plastic shell, internal shock absorber, and a liner, and it's 230 grams less, 330 grams less, the rollerblade blank is a heavy skate. The frames are 635 grams, 634.2 grams. I don't think I have any frames hanging out. Oh, I have these Mesmers. Where'd they go? I'm making a mess over here. Oh no, I lost them. Well, I have these Zem frames. Let me try these Zem frames. Ooh. So the rollerblade blank frame, I forgot the number. 634. Them frames. 711, including a flat setup though. I don't think you're going to get much of a difference with the frame. Oh, here's the Mesmers. Also a flat setup. 689. So 689, 634, 711. So these frames are fairly similar. That says, these are anti-rocker with a grind block. So let's say that they had regular wheels, they'd probably be another 80 grams heavier. They're very similar. I don't think the frames make much of a difference. It's all in the boot. And that boot is just way too heavy. I don't know why. I think the solos were heavy too. Do I have a solos? I do. I can't reach them though. But yeah, it's a heavy boot. Unfortunately. Right. Mike Chech, the trick skate is most commonly used for slalom skating. The 243 distance and the wheels rockered allow precise maneuverability for cone skating. Well, I guess I need to get myself some cones and see how it is. I think most cone skaters either wear spandex or they wear shorts. So I'll probably go with shorts. Let me know in the comments. Actually, don't. I don't think you need to know that. Yeah, I'll try some slalom. I'll see if I can see some Tiago videos and learn how to do some slalom and see what the tricks are all about. Very fun though. I'm looking forward to skating them. Matt C, I feel like every skate on your wall need buffers. Not sure what you mean by buffers, but okay. Sorry. Let me know. Let me know what you mean by buffers. Ravenous Pathogen, they are slalom skates. The toe Velcro and the axles on wheel 1 and 4 should be rockerable. Okay, so these are the tricks. I'm excited to try them because I've never tried any slalom skates before. Very cool. Okay, so yeah, they are rockerable. I see that. So okay, excellent. Let me take off these axles. I didn't even think about that. Let me take off the first and the last. Oh, if I can. Oh my God, they are so tight. I'm afraid I'm going to strip them it's a single axle. Oh, that one's coming out. There. I'm afraid I'm going to strip it. All right, so I got the first wheel. Let's take this one out. Ooh, it's a 6 mil. Looks like it at least. Yeah, it's a 6 mil axle. Look at this little thing. What a crazy axle. So it's a little nub that fits in this section. Let me show you. So you can see it is on one side it is a flat with rounded edges, and the other side it is perfectly round. That's where the screw part comes in. So I can insert this either one way or the other into the axle, and it will either rocker or it won't rocker. Very cool. All right, so what I will probably do is I will skate these around. Oops, I dropped the axle. There it is. I will skate these around, and I will see how they feel just skating around. And then I will try my hand at a little bit of slalom. I've never tried slalom before, but that is what this year is about. Trying new things with big wheels. Love aggressive, will not stop skating aggressive. But there's so much to explore out there. So much to discover with wheels on your feet. Just gotta go out there and have some fun. All right, that's right. So look how rockered that looks now. This front wheel is high. That's like a 2 mil rocker probably. All right, so that's going to be fun. Okay, good. Thank you everybody for letting me know. That's going to be a fun video. I hope I don't hurt myself, but we'll see. Mike Chech says the axles on wheels 1 and 4 should be rockerable. You're going to get lots of ankle flex with those. They are more entry-level slalom skates. Okay, great. I guess that's me. I will give them a shot and see what entry-level slalom skates feel like. Super interesting. Yeah, I bought them because they were on clearance, and I said, you know what? I haven't given Seba much of a look, and I guess Seba is. If we have a split between Seba and FR, I guess Seba maybe is more of the slalom company now and aggressive, and then FR is more of the big wheel and the urban, I guess. Maybe fitness and urban. So good question. The branding never really made a lot of sense to me, but I'm learning. Kyle Galt, do you prefer Sways or M12s for all-around performance and style? Oxygen Argons are the heaviest skates. Oxygens were heavy. I don't think they're as heavy as those Rems. And I think the Rems were almost as heavy as the Volo, the skin Volos. So there are heavy skates out there. I prefer Sways. I think the M12 sole plate is just, it needs to be updated. It's not very forgiving. I do like the fit of the M12. My foot is fairly narrow, so I'm able to fit in there. But a lot of people don't because it's just too narrow and it hurts your feet. So for all-around skating, I think the Sways are a better choice. They fit my feet really nicely, and I really like the sole plate. All right, Sean Michelson, any sweet exclusive surprise products you'll be bringing to Bitter Cold? Absolutely. Wouldn't be driving up there for nothing. Not that I don't want to meet you again, but it's a big trade show. You know, it's our trade show, and it's the last time they're going to do it. So yeah, I'm definitely bringing some cool stuff up there. And then last one, Mike Chech. Oh, not Mike Chech, Mike Chech. Sorry, Mike. I'll be in North Carolina April 5th through the 8th if you want to meet up for some slalom. Absolutely, that would be amazing. Give me a few pointers of what I'm doing wrong. I would love that. I don't know where in North Carolina you are, but if you're within an hour drive or so, I will gladly meet you up. Yeah, that would be really fun. Let me know how to get a hold of you. Just hit me an email or on the Instagram, and I would be thrilled to do some slalom skating with somebody who knows what they're doing. All right. thank you all so much for joining me tonight. That was a fun episode. I am always learning. I encourage you to get out of your comfort zone. Apparently, I'm going to start doing some slalom skating. Get out of your comfort zone. Stick with what you know, but also realize that there's a lot of other things out there. You're going to get bored of what you're doing, and that doesn't mean you're going to get bored of rollerblading. There are so many different disciplines, so many different ways that you can explore your city, that you can go to a skate park and try different things. You know, I think what Todd and Joey have taught us is it doesn't really matter what you do. You can follow the rules or you can make up your own rules. Just go out there and have fun skating. And that's my energy that I'm going to try to bring to this year. I just want to go out there and do what I want to do, whatever feels right. If I want to go out there and do some grinds, I'll session a ledge. If I want to go out there and try something new, maybe I'll bring some cones to the farmer's market and do some slalom. It's going to be a really interesting year, and I hope that you dip out of your comfort zone as well. Try new things. So long as you're out there skating, I'm thrilled to have you. We'll be back again, I hope, in 2 weeks. I've got a few things going on, and then we'll be out at Bitter Cold. If you're going to be in the Detroit area, end of the month, I think it's the 24th? Last weekend of February. Today's the 8th. I think it's the last weekend of February. So we'll have a gear talk before then. But definitely looking forward to seeing everybody out there. If you are able to come out, please do. I would love to meet you. We will have a booth for Balance Distribution, have all of our products out there, some new stuff that we're excited to share. And personally, I would just love to meet you if you listen to the podcast, if you watch the shows, if you watch any of my YouTube videos, if you supported any of the brands. I'd love to say hey and get to know you and say hey in person, especially if we've interacted online. It would be really cool to meet you. Anyway, hope that everybody's doing good. Hope you're being safe out there. And I'll see you again in 2 weeks.